During the Vietnam War, the Army had a chemical that, when sprayed on wounds, immediately stopped bleeding, saving thousands of lives. Surprisingly, this chemical is now found in every household. Moving on to other accidental inventions, one might be astonished to learn that Coca-Cola, the world's most famous soft drink, was created inadvertently in 1865. Dr. Pemberton, a lieutenant colonel during the Battle of Columbus, was wounded by a sword, leading him to start using morphine. Eventually, he developed a habit and sought an alternative, leading to the creation of a drink containing cola nuts, damiana, cocaine, and alcohol, known as French wine coca. However, with the rise of anti-alcoholism campaigns in 1886, he was compelled to remove alcohol and cocaine from his concoction. Through experimentation, he accidentally added carbonated water to the syrup, creating a refreshing beverage that became known as Coca-Cola. Despite initial sales at only 5 cents, Pemberton foresaw its potential, selling the formula for a mere $38 due to illness and financial struggles. Today, Coca-Cola's market value is $260 billion. Number 5. Do you know that during the Vietnam War, there was a chemical that saved thousands of wounded soldiers' lives when sprayed on their wounds? Doctors used this chemical as first aid, which immediately stopped bleeding and dried the wound. This chemical was none other than superglue, which is now found in every household. Interestingly, superglue was also an accidental invention. During World War II, soldiers faced the challenge of their shots missing the target due to inaccuracies in aiming their guns. To solve this problem, the U.S. Army needed a clear plastic sight that would allow them to see everything easily. Chemical engineers, including Dr. Harry Coover, were hired to create this clear plastic. In the process of making the clear plastic, they accidentally created a chemical that was far more adhesive than necessary, called cyanoacrylate. However, it was rejected because it was too adhesive. Years later, while working for Kodak in 1951, Dr. Coover stumbled upon cyanoacrylate again when experiments were being conducted for making jet engine canopies. This time, he realized its potential and used it to bond materials together instantly without the need for heat or pressure. In 1958, Kodak started selling this chemical as Eastman 910, later renamed superglue. Apart from joining objects, superglue began to be used in forensic investigations for fingerprinting. When heated, the fumes produced by superglue react with hidden fingerprint residues, revealing them within minutes. Along with its various uses, superglue continued to be used as first aid for stopping bleeding. But it is not recommended to try this method at home. Number 4. Whether it's checking blood pressure, tightening children's shoes, or keeping the wire of mobile or laptop chargers wrapped and secure, every household needs hook and loop tape, commonly known as Velcro. But do you know that the idea for its invention came about in a surprising way? In 1941, electrical engineer George de Mestral was hiking in the mountains of the Alps with his dog. During the walk, burdock plant seeds kept sticking to his socks and his dog's fur. He noticed that these seeds stuck to his clothes with just a slight touch. Intrigued, he collected some seeds and observed them under a microscope, discovering that the tips of these seeds were shaped like tiny hooks that easily caught onto the small loops in fabric. This natural mechanism allowed the plant to spread its seeds by attaching to passing animals. George de Mestral was amazed by this discovery and wanted to make something useful using this method. He introduced his invention to the public in 1955 and registered it under his name as hook and loop tape. Hook and loop tape comes in 2 parts, one with hooks and the other with loops made of nylon. When these 2 parts touch, they stick together just like burdock seeds stick to fabric. Today, Velcro is manufactured in 7 countries, with approximately 2,500 employees working in this company. Number 3. Before World War II, coal was used as a heater instead of a stove, but this resulted in a layer of black soot covering the entire house. Then the invention of the Play-Doh came about, which was used to remove soot. However, after World War II, natural gas began to be used as a heater, rendering Noah and Joseph Play-Doh's invention obsolete. But a few years later, in 1950, Joseph noticed that his sister, who was a school teacher, was using the Play-Doh to create models of various things for her students. From there, he got the idea and registered the Rebecrafts Company to start selling it for children to play with. Number 2. Apart from pacemakers and penicillin, the invention of blood thinners in the medical industry also happened by coincidence. It dates back to the 1920s when a strange disease was noticed in animals, causing internal bleeding, leading to death. Upon investigation, it was found that a particular fungus found on grass was thinning their blood. The chemical found in this fungus, later named warfarin, was initially used as rat poison for the next 30 years before being used on humans. In 1950, after the decision to use warfarin on humans, it was successfully used to save the lives of patients, including U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who suffered a heart attack in 1955. Number 1. The greatest achievement for humans was to create fire. Since humans learned to make fire, they have always tried to make this process easier. Before matches, lighting a fire was a very difficult task. Some would rub stones together or use a stick of wood on another piece of wood, like a drill. In 1827, a British pharmacist, John Walker, was experimenting with chemicals when he accidentally left a stick coated with chemicals near a fire in his room. Suddenly, the wood caught fire due to the chemicals on it. This incident led to the idea of making matchsticks. The chemical mixture was potassium chlorate and antimony sulfide. John Walker's invention was so successful that matches have been a household necessity ever since. However, John Walker did not patent his invention. People copied his formula and started making new versions of matchsticks. When he died in 1859, he began to be recognized as the inventor of matchsticks.